lecture. And as you learned that day, we said that each noble path factor has to be practiced with the support of right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. That means Sammā Diṭṭhi, Sammā Vayama, and Sammā Sati. And we also discussed that these 8 path factors fall into 3 disciplines, what you call by Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So what is Sila here? Virtue part. Samadhi is concentration part, and Panya is wisdom part. But surprisingly, the order has been a little different. Why is it? This is the proper way to practice actually. But the classification of Sila, Samadhi, Panya has been simply given in many other places. But this is how it has to be properly practiced if you practice in order to aim for the spiritual attainments. That means, as we discussed last Monday, certain knowledge of Panya at the beginning, and then you move into virtue, and then virtue will help you to practice Samadhi, that means concentration. Then again the higher level of the Panya. That is how we learn that day. Okay, so just to show you where we left up, and today we are going into the first path factor, which means right view, Sammā Diṭṭhi. And last Monday we also discussed, I'll give you a chance, we also discussed that the path has to start from our perspective, our view. There's a reason. We will be discussing that today. Yes? Yes. Were you absent? They are included. Okay, okay. All right. Okay. So there is a sutta called Chula Vedala Sutta. I think I have given it somewhere. Yeah, here I think. Yeah, it is here, right? So the Sila, Samadhi, Panya, now in this case Panya, Sila, Samadhi, now the person asks from the bhikkhuni whether the noble eightfold path is consisted in the 3 aggregates, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, Panya, Sila, Samadhi, or Sila, Samadhi, Panya are included in the noble eightfold path. Then the answer was noble eightfold path is included inside Panya, Sila, Samadhi. That means, yeah, that is. Other way means we might think that noble eightfold path at that point is the highest. It is the highest path, but you can't bypass Panya, Sila, Samadhi practice. Even the noble eightfold path has to go through the Panya, Sila, Samadhi. Yeah, so they are the 3 disciplines that noble eightfold path tells us to practice. Make sense? Okay, let me explain to you a little bit more. Okay, included means now when you learn that the noble eightfold path is the only path, direct path, highest path, then we may have a mistake. We may have a mistake that Sila, Samadhi, Panya come under the path. But Sila, Samadhi, Panya being outside of the path monitors, and everybody has to follow Sila, Samadhi, Panya, Panya, Sila, Samadhi in that context in order to practice the path, noble eightfold path. So noble eightfold path has to go through the Panya, Sila, Samadhi. Yeah. You don't have to be overly thoughtful about it, because when you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, it is the same. So, yes, that's it. Yeah. The other way, as you can see here, are the three aggregates, Sila Samadhi Panya, included under the Noble Eightfold Path. So it means that, do these three go under the Noble Eightfold Path, or does the path go under the Panya Sila Samadhi? Yes. So I would call it as an emphasis about the Panya Sila Samadhi, that categorization, classification. Yeah. So there is no difference, but we have to understand that the path always has to go through the Panya Sila Samadhi. Yes. You cannot avoid anything out of it. You will understand more while we study. So, yeah. Okay, Sammā Diṭṭhi. Now, how do we enter into this topic? So, I am quoting a verse from the Metta Sutta, which all of you know. What is this stanza? Diṭṭhiņca anupagamma sīlava. This is the last verse of the Metta Sutta. Diṭṭhiņca anupagamma sīlava dassanena sampanno kāmesu vineyya gedang nahi jātu gabbaseyang punareti. Let's find the translation of it. Do we find Diṭṭhi over here? Yes, right at the beginning. And this is also very interesting, because this is the last stanza of the Metta Sutta. What does Metta Sutta talk about? Loving kindness? Is it? Metta. Let's go by Pali. These translations sometimes make some confusion. Of course, we say loving kindness. Metta. It's kind of a hybrid word, huh? Love and kindness, hybrid. So, what do we see in the Metta Sutta? It is not only the metta. First, it prepares us for 15 skillful habits, right? Sakko, Uju, Suju, Suvacho, Anatimani, Santussaku, Subharu, Appakicho, Sallahuka Buddhi, so and so forth. Nachaguddang Samachare Kinchi Vinyu Paripodeyo. 6. That means the 15th one. First, it says that there are, in my understanding, in my own reading, there are 15 skillful habits that every person who wants to practice kusala has to practice before that. Now we are all supposed to practice kusala, right? 10 kusala, avoid 10 akusala. But we are not simply able to practice them easily. We know that not killing is the thing that we should do, but people are driven by in different ways in order to that particular thing. So it says that we have to first cultivate the 15 skillful habits. And then it talks about different kinds of beings. Tall beings, large beings, beings who passed away, beings who are living, beings who are going to be reborn, beings who are terrified, right? Many beings are described. Why it is very necessary for us to think about, identify beings in the practice of metta? Why is it? I think you all practice metta meditation. But why does the Buddha say we should be able to identify those objects of, I would say, the beings separately? Why is it? There's a reason. The reason is, at the end of the metta meditation, you would say, may all living beings be well and happy. But before that, there are categorizations. Remember, there is a sutta in the chanting book. It is called Kanda Paritta. In that sutta, what happens? There was a monk who was bitten by a snake and passed away. Right? And the other monks tell Buddha that he was practicing metta meditation. Exactly. What happened to him? Then the Buddha said, This monk, yes, he practiced metta meditation, but he did not particularly practice metta towards 4 reptiles. Be careful. Virupakke hime mettam, mettang era pate hime, chabya putte hime mettang, kanha gutamake hija. Now, kanha gutama is a black snakes. Virupaka is kind of pythons. I mean, there are 4 types of reptiles according to the Buddhist teaching. So, if monks do not understand particularly, there are different types of snakes, probably it might say they don't feel that you're metta. That is why that identification is interesting, it's important. The Buddha said it is why he was bitten by the snakes. So, what a pity, huh? But it happened. So that means these Tasavata, Avarava, Anavasesa, Digavaye, Mahantava, all these different large beings, tall beings, necessary to understand. Giraffe is a tall being and elephant is a large being. So, I mean, that identification is interesting, important for us to think about. Okay, these animals exist, right? So, the sutta goes on. But at the end, the sutta takes us to a different context. This is that place. Just before this stanza, it says, Tittang charan nisinova sayanova yavatassa vikatamittu etang sating aditteya brahmametang viharang idamau. What does it mean? Tittang charan, if you are standing, charang if you are walking, if you are sitting, nisinova, if you are lying down. You can't practice metta while you are sleeping, right? Lying down. Yavatassa vigatamittu. Till you are awake. Until you are awake. Yavatassa vigatamittu. Etang sating aditti. You should practice this sati. Sati of metta. The presence of mind about metta. And it says, Brahma metang viharan. This is the highest form of living. Highest form means, I would say, highest form of attitude. Highest attitude. Now we are coming down to attitudes. Now we have different attitudes on the day. We are getting moody, depending on the time, situation, people. But out of all these moods, the highest, I would say, the highest mood and highest mentality, highest attitude is metta. Because once you are into metta, your love is going to be unconditional, not conditional, right? After that, now the sutta takes us to a very interesting, I think this is the, this could be a summary of our final practice of the, Dhamma. Diṭṭhiņca anupagamma, having not attained any Diṭṭhi. Why are we not supposed to come into Diṭṭhis? What is a Diṭṭhi? We can discuss about it. Because Diṭṭhi is really taking us to a bunch of akusalas. Then Sīlava, virtuous. Then Dassarena, but Diṭṭhi is bad, but Dassana is okay. That's what you have to understand here. See? Now, Diṭṭhi is the problem, but Dassanena Sampanno. Have Dassana. There's no much difference in the word. Diṭṭhi means Diṭṭhati, see, but Dassana means being able to see something according to a certain, I would say, the bare minimum person, the Sotapanna. The view of the Sotapanna is Dassana. That is okay, but Diṭṭhi is a problem. Do not run into any Diṭṭhis, views. But Dassana. Kāmesu vinayagedam. Never ever get greedy for kamas. Right? Vinayagedam. Nahi jatu gabbaseyam punareti. Buddhists are supposed to think that I am not going to be reborn in a womb of anybody. But with a bunch of expectations, they are not doing that. He would come no more to be convinced in a womb. Right? This is the ultimate thought. Anyways, so Diṭṭhi and Dassana. Once again, I would show you. Dassana, seeing like a Sotapanna, but no Diṭṭhi. No Diṭṭhi, but Dassana. Now we are going into another sutta which you know, Ratana Sutta. This sutta clearly says, Now, there is something very interesting here. In the Ratana Sutta, when Ratana Sutta talks about the Sangha, Buddha Dhamma Sangha, the analysis of the Sangha is broader than the Buddha and Dhamma. Which spiritual person has been picked up by Ratana Sutta for Sangha? Is it a Sakadagami or Anagami or Arahant? Which spiritual person has been picked up by the Ratana Sutta's analysis about the Sangha? Sotapanna. Why is it? Because the Buddha wanted to teach everybody that Sangha start from a Sotapanna. Right? Now in this stanza, verse number 10, it says, Saha vassa dassana sampadaya tayasu dhamma jahita bhavanti. Sakkaya, there again you see Diṭṭhi. Sakkaya Diṭṭhi vichikicchitancha silabbatang vapi adatti kinchi. Chatuha payehi cha vippamutto cha chabithanani ababbo khatu. Idampi sangi ratanam panita etena satchena suvatti hotu. Now what is important over here for Diṭṭhi and Dassana? Dassana sampadaya. Now this particular Sangha has come to the Dassana. Dassana means this one. Endowed with the Sotapanna way of seeing. That means already has overcome the what he has already overcome in regard to Diṭṭhi. Sotapanna person already overcome Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. That is how he become a Sotapanna. The first thing that we all have to overcome. Right? Do not try to hit on other things. First thing is Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Right? So Sotapanna person has already eliminated the Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. We will discuss that later. Now he has come to Dassana. Dassana means his way of seeing things are different from somebody who has Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Right? The rest of the things are not important to us, so we will leave that. Alright, so you can see Dassana Sampanno. Now you can see this is very important because this Diṭṭhi and Dassana were given separately. Even in the basic suttas we know, very basic ones. You don't need to go to Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. You don't need to go to Sammā Diṭṭhi Sutta. In the very basic suttas, perhaps you don't know because you merely chant. Maybe you listen to a chanting. Maybe you chant without knowing the meaning. This is the problem. This is why you might perhaps not catch these things. Right? Oh, it's a blessing, so I just put my palms together and listen to somebody, you know. Right? Then asking us, Bhante, do we pray wrong? Have I prayed wrong? This is the reason. Because you never know what is going on here. Right? Some of you might know, but many people outside. Alright, so now you know Diṭṭhi is not good and Dassana is what we are trying to, yes. Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Yeah, Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is something that we all have to initially overcome just to become a Sotapanna. You are going to eradicate your Atta. But although you overcome Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, but still you are continuing as a normal person. Remember Vishaka? Vishaka's story? Vishaka married to someone at the age of 7 and she is not 7, after the 7, she already a Sotapanna, but she married a man. How come she married a man after becoming a Sotapanna? Find it out. That's why I'm telling a lot of people saying if you want to become a Sotapanna, you have to get away from everything. That is all lies. Vishaka, she attained Sotapanna when she was 7 years old and then she married. The problem is she knows that although she is having her duties to the husband, but she has no that greed towards the husband. She knows what is she doing. She is not driven by the lust. But just to keep that life, she is there. Remember the hunter's wife? Wife is a Sotapanna, but husband is a hunter. So every day morning she has to give all the gears to him, arrows and all the weapons and everything. But Sotapannas are mentioned, they are not even killing even an ant. But she was simply doing that because that is her role as a wife. See, these stories are very interesting. So I'm saying, anatta, when someone comes to the real understanding of anatta, when that person is going to become an arahant. So Visakha did not attain arahantship at that point. She was simply a Sotapanna. So she simply overcame Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. That means there may be people among us who have already attained Sotapanna. We never know. If these stories are going to work out for us, definitely we never know. Because it's a very deep understanding about karma. You are with karma, but you know what is karma. You know what to do with that. So the difference between Sakkaya Diṭṭhi and Anatta is, Anatta is particularly for somebody who attained Nibbana, that understanding, full understanding. And Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is the understanding that I, me, myself do not relate to the five aggregates. Right? That is a simple understanding according to the Anatta concept, but for us it is a bigger understanding. We will discuss that too. Alright, what is a Diṭṭhi? According to I wouldn't normally quote Abhidhamma, but if you look at Abhidhamma, it says most of the akusalas happen from lobha. If you look at the chittas, the thoughts, it says most of our akusalas happen not from anger, not from moha, but from lobha, greed. Actually, if you look at your daily life, most of your akusalas are coming from your attachments and lobha, not from those. You may be angry, but only for a short time. Right? Sometimes because you are attached, you coming up with anger too. But the fundamental reason is lobha. So there are, I think, 12 akusala thoughts in the Abhidhamma. 8 out of them are lobhas, lobha-based akusalas. That means you only do 2 akusalas, and 2 from anger, 2 from moha, but 8 from lobha. That is why in the Abhidhamma it says this Diṭṭhi is a part of lobha. It is true, because when you have an ideology, when you have a perspective, let's say you may have healthy perspectives or unhealthy perspectives. If you have a political perspective, it can go as far as even fights, even character assassinations. Let's say you have a view about different things, socio-economic, cultural stuff. Maybe you have views about life, right? So it is said that all these views, unless you keep them under a certain wholesome context, they can go spread around lot of greed. So then you have Diṭṭhi, the particular bad Diṭṭhi with lobha. So lobha, Diṭṭhi means attachment to views, I would say, greed to your views, right? That is what you call by the Diṭṭhi. But I put it as Micchā Diṭṭhi, because when you say Diṭṭhi, you won't be able to understand what it is. Diṭṭhi, Micchā Diṭṭhi, we take it as the same. It is like when you say Sati, we normally say Sammā Sati. But Sati, if you take it neutral way, if it is an ethically neutral way, we just say Sati. But when you say Sammā Sati, it is ethically positive, good stuff. When you say Micchā Sati, it is ethically negative. But when you say Sati, it is ethically neutral. Because it is said that all your thoughts include Sati. Some people are trying very much, I want to practice Sati. No, you already have Sati. Otherwise, you can't do anything. According to the Abhidhamma, Sati is an automatic, I would say, Cetasika. Sati, there are 7 Cetasikas actually. But Sammā Sati is not automatic. Sammā sati, right, I would say mindfulness or right sati, is hardly anywhere. Right? Sati is everywhere. As I told you the other day, even criminals, they have a lot of sati. Right? Otherwise, they can't plan well. Robbers, criminals, terrorists, they have more mindfulness than you. But miccha mindfulness, wrong mindfulness, right? They are planning for many years to bring somebody down, because sati is present, but not right sati, right? All right, so I would call it miccha diṭṭhi. So miccha diṭṭhi means here wrong view. So basically, view, I would say miccha diṭṭhi is attached to the lobe. All right. Whenever somebody has a view, there is definitely greed attached to that view. In one place, or in a couple places, Buddha says, miccha diṭṭhi is the worst akusala. Worst. Now you see the akusalas here, 10 akusalas. Pānātipātā, adinnādāna, kāmisumicchāchāra, musāvāda, pisunāvācha, parusāvācha, sampappalāpa, abhicca, vyāpāda, miccha diṭṭhi. What are they? 10 akusalas. This part. This part. These are 10 akusalas. This is the body side, this is speech, this is mind. Out of these 10, miccha diṭṭhi is the worst. Why is it? Somebody may argue, it is just a view. What is the problem? Somebody goes and kills someone here. Somebody goes and steals someone's stuff. Somebody goes and, break other people's relationships. Somebody lies. Somebody talks behind the back. Somebody speaks very badly, using harsh words. Somebody is always gossiping, using frivolous talk. Somebody may come up with, I would say, a lot of greedy thoughts. Or somebody may have ill will. But this miccha diṭṭhi, the last one, it is the worst akusala, unwholesome activity. Why is it? Let's find out. Why is it? Because the rest of the akusalas all come from miccha diṭṭhi. In the same way, rest of the kusalas all come from Sammā diṭṭhi. That is what we have to understand here. Very easy to understand. That is why Sammā diṭṭhi went up here in the path. See again. Here Sammā diṭṭhi went up, being the first, and out of the akusalas, miccha diṭṭhi went to the bottom. Right? That means miccha diṭṭhi is the worst akusala. Buddha says, miccha diṭṭhim bhikkhave paramang vajjāni dissanti. Parama vajja, parama. It is the worst akusala, because when your view, when your I would say mindset is rooted in the miccha diṭṭhi, wrong, I would say view, you would kill other people, you would steal other people's stuff, you would do all the bad things. So what are we supposed to do? We have to correct, we have to change our view first. Now for those people who go to other things out of the path, if you directly go to right mindfulness, satipatthana, will this happen to you? This is the problem. If you directly go to satipatthana practice, will this happen to you? Do you make sure that your view is correct? No. That is why I said even the other day, we have to start from right view, understanding what is right view, then only move on to the rest of the path factors. It's very important. Super, super important. And if you bypass it, you will get stuck somewhere. You will go to places, but you know nothing is progressing. All right? Miccha diṭṭhi. That means we have to have the Sammā diṭṭhi. Sakkāya diṭṭhi versus miccha diṭṭhi. Sakkāya diṭṭhi, actually Sakkāya diṭṭhi arises from miccha diṭṭhi, because We will talk about what is Sakkaya Diṭṭhi later. It arises from the Micchā Diṭṭhi. Let's say Micchā Diṭṭhi is the root here. Sakkaya Diṭṭhi and all the other views come from that. But Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is a minimum version of that. There are other views differently at different times. But Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, it is a minimum one. That's why even people can spend a lay life well without Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. That means you of course don't need to become a monastic. You can eliminate Sakkaya Diṭṭhi while being a layperson. Many examples are there. Not even Vishaka. Can we have a view? I just make some questions just to arouse some, motivation on your side. Can we have a view without making it fixated or fixed? So, is it not good to have views? It is good. We need to have some views, healthy views, wholesome views. Even we might not have that right one, healthy views. But we should never have a view that is very fixed or fixated. Because when you have a very fixated, very fixed view, you are not listening to other people. You are very hot-headed, disobedient. You think everything what you do is right, correct. Kalyana Mittas don't come near you. Because there is no purpose, right? You don't listen and then you are not even open to them, right? So, we should have good views, but we should never make them fixed. That means, let's say I have a view, but one of my Kalyana Mittas say, I think this has some unwholesome, this carries some unwholesome stuff. Okay, I think about it. Why not? I think about it. So, how I get to that point? I am leaving my options free. I am leaving my views free. That means I let other people correct me also at certain points. So, I progress in my path. Right? That is why we may have views, but not fixated or fixed views. Can we live without views? No, we cannot. That is where many people thought we have to come up with a lot of views, like in the Brahmajala Sutta, we will discuss that. Why is there a strong focus on the notion of Diṭṭhi within early Buddhism? We will discuss that here. Views entail mental rigidity and are potential objects of attachment or greed. All the views carry a certain form of attachment. I would say greed actually. Becoming greedy to objects of cognition. So, we cognize all the time, so we then become greedy for those objects. Therefore, cultivate the right view and abandon the wrong view. Again, now this is the most important issue here that comes as a result of Diṭṭhi. Diṭṭhi is an obstacle to seeing things as they are. We call it Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana. What is this? This is what we want to have in our life at least one day. But what does normally happen to us is we are seeing things as we are. This is right? More subjectively. Right? So we don't see. And today there is maybe there's a different thing, maybe in the same thing, but you might think, okay, why it is not the previous one? You are not able to see the uniqueness of that particular thing, right? So we may sometimes have to look at everything in its uniqueness, not always go back to the past. Going back to the past means we are very subjectively viewing everything. A relationship, somebody has a very bad relationship in the past, then always looking at the new person through that wound all the time. But this person may be a very good person. How do you see that good person, goodness of that person? You may do your own techniques, but you should always believe that good things can happen. Right? You have to bring yourself from subjectivity to objectivity sometime, at least. So, but when you have a lot of Diṭṭhi, you are not able to see things as they are. No Vipassana. You can't get into Vipassana. Right? Some people have views about the Dhamma. It is also a problem. Because whatever the views you have, they will stop you from seeing the truth. Because we all want to see the truth the naked truth as it is, not the truth through whatever our garbage, trash garbage in our mind. Maybe little knowledge about the Dhamma, maybe little stuff that you know, maybe some of our past experiences only. So we have to be open for the naked truth, the Dhamma truth, without no obstacles between. Then, the aim of the Dhamma path is the transcendence of all. We have to transcend all views. Right view, Sammā Diṭṭhi, with no view at all, overcoming all views, even right view. Even right view one day, not today. When you go there, when you attain to that level, you will see right view, I should not even attach to right view. Right view was a simple technique for me to get into other stages. Only a technique. I should also not attach to right view, but I have to use it, because when you have no direction, you can't practice any path. But when you are moving on to the different path factors, Sammā Saṅkappa, Sammā Vāca, you have to do all with Sammā Diṭṭhi, but you know, this is simply a technique for me to practice it, not even be greedy attached to it. But the relinquishment of all views. Wrong view is a form of greed, as I said earlier. Right view signifies the cessation of craving. The circularity of the Buddhist path is right view. That means we all always have to bring right view, but at a certain point you are not even attached to the right view. Right view is not a doctrine, a correct proposition, kind of a framework for us to go on our path. Correct attitude towards the Buddha's teaching. Now, this is very interesting. What is our attitude towards the Buddha's teaching? We may have different attitudes. Somebody might think, I only give dana. That is my Buddhism. Somebody might think, I only practice some sila. Right? Somebody might think, I only do some cultural stuff. Somebody might think, I should only listen to very deep Dhamma things only. But these all lack a correct attitude. The Buddha says, you should have a correct attitude, right view towards even the Dhamma. Otherwise, you are not picking up the Dhamma in the right, proper way. A correct knowledge which comes from right view should not involve attachment, I would say greed. A true statement, if it is an object of attachment, is Micchā Diṭṭhi, even though it is still true. Now we are going to see the 62 wrong views at the time of the Buddha. We are not going to talk about all that. If you can click on this thing, you will see at home. You can see how those 62 views work on. And there are mostly these views come from two perspectives: eternalism, annihilationism. That means there is a complete destruction of the life, or we exist throughout the samsara. All these come from that. They are just part of the views. Actually, these are the two ends that a lot of people struggle in today's world, right? They think either that their life is like in Hinduism, they think that their life, their soul continues, right? The same soul continues. In other religions, they think there is a complete destruction of the self when they die. That is what you call by annihilationism. This is one, right? Eternalism means the other. So most of the religions, they are on the two ends. And these are just part of all of them. And now we see after the Brahmanism, that means Brahmanism means the Brahmins, 1500 BC, long time ago, there was a certain new tradition, new movement came in. What do we call it? Shramana tradition. Shramana tradition. Actually, Buddhism is also a part of Shramana tradition. What is the difference between Shramana tradition and the Brahmana tradition? Can somebody tell me? Not believing in the God. So normally Brahmanist traditions, they all believe in a God. You have to go through the God. Then Shramana tradition? Self practice. They thought liberation cannot be given by a God. We have to find out by ourselves, by elevating, by practicing us, something within us. So some people mostly went too far in that practice. So there are 6 main, I would say, teachers who brought up, different teachings about it. See, Purana Kassapa, Makkali Gosala, Ajita Kesa Kambala, Pakuda Kachayana, Nigandanathaputta, Sanjay Belataputta. So out of these 6, only the Nigantanathaputta was the very closest one to the Buddhism, because he said something about like an extreme innocence, extreme practice about the morality. Others had different ways, but they were a little different from the Buddhist and Jain Niganta's ideas. Let's see. Purana Kassapa, one of the Sramana teachers, he said that morality does not make a big problem. That means you can kill, okay, or you cannot kill. You may kill, you may not kill. You may give dana or you may not give dana, same thing. So we call it amoralism. Amoralism. That means a complete denial of the what? Huh? What's karma. When somebody practices sila, when somebody does not practice sila, what will generate? Karma. Sila is the one we do, but then what generates? Karma. At the end you generate karma. The problem is with whether you have karma or not having karmas. Nibbana is also end in the karma, right? Nothing else, right? So his philosophy, his teaching was to say, nothing is bad. You can either do the wrong thing, you can either do the good thing. Right? Second, Makkali Gosala. He said everything is predetermined. Everything is predetermined. Your death is predetermined. Like those people who go after astrologers, asking when I'm going to die. Yes, I found from Himalayas, this is the day, this time, this moment you're going to die. And now you are getting ready for that. You are making yourself ready for that day. Right? So, he said everything is predetermined. Your death, your marriage, palmistry, astrology, that is what they do. This is a teaching. Actually, some Buddhists also have this opinion. I think they are not Buddhists. They are Makkali Gosala's followers. Right? Because he is the one who said fatalism. Everything is predetermined. Your education, your marriage. Have you ever seen people who are going after these people when I am going to marry? They are not going to look for somebody. They are going after these people. Right? Life, everything. So it is called Niyativada fatalism, which Buddha denied actually. All these Buddha denied. Niyativada means, so I mention it because you may sometimes practice Makkali Gosala's teaching. So then everything is not predetermined. Some things are coming from karma, but you can change some of the karmas. Some karmas can be changed. Don't be scared for the karmas. You did, you change. Why not? You did it, you're going to change it. I will tell you when. Don't be so much happy about it. So you might do a lot of bad karma and say, I'm going to change it. No. But I'm trying to empower you. You did it, and you're going to face it, and you're going to change it. That's a beautiful teaching. We'll discuss some other day. Ajita Kesa Kambala said, materialism. That means normal Abrahamic religious perception, Abrahamic religions, what they are. So they always say, no next life. Last life, everything will be destroyed. There's a complete destruction. Materialism, Ajita Kesa Kambala. Pakuda Kachayana, Sassatavada. That means, he said, everything is eternal. I think the first one is talking about annihilationism. This one is talking about, Pakuda Kachayana is talking about eternalism, both sides. That means, don't worry, we have a soul that keeps continuing. so and so forth. Nigantanataputta, he is the one who said something little similar to Buddhism. He said, we have to be extremely careful about other beings. So it has gone into a level that is really impractical and not going to work for us, right? He said a lot of things. So they even said that we should not wear clothes, otherwise we have some attachments if we wear clothes. That is too extreme, right? And I don't think that anybody who is wearing clothes has that kind of attachment that much, right? Some of them may have, but not everybody. That means that argument is going to be different. And Sanjay Bellatiputta, he proposed a teaching where he simply escapes from everything. Is there a life? Maybe, maybe not. Is there a Nibbana? Maybe, maybe not. So he's always, I think he is the smartest teacher out of all these people, So other people got into a trap. They said something, but he said, maybe, maybe not. So, yeah, Sanjay Bellatiputta. Do not underestimate him, because Sariputta and Moggallana are followers of him. Arahant Sariputta and Arahant Moggallana. So he had also some good people. Funny enough, all these teachers had thousands of followers. Thousands of followers. The Buddha says in the Sammā Sutta. They are not normal people, because people believed. Right? All right, so these are views. These are views. Right? 6 Shramana views. Now we are going to talk about Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Let's talk about it. This is Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. How many Sakkaya Diṭṭhis are there? 20 Sakkaya Diṭṭhis. They go by the aggregates: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Why they go by the aggregates? People call there is a self because of the aggregates. Let's take the first one, Rupa. That means our form, this form, right? How do people make Sakkaya Diṭṭhi through the body? Rupa as self. This body is me, right? So you may develop a sort of Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. This is me. And self as possessed of Rupa. So that means somebody thinks that there is a self that is in the Rupa, right? So when you take Rupa as self, that means it is a Uchchedavada, annihilationism. And when you take self as possessed of form, that means you think there is a continuing self, soul in that body. Rupa as in self, that means somebody takes Rupa as in the self and self as in the Rupa. These have to be further explained in different ways. That means pretty much you are trying to think there is a Rupa that is existing without the rest of the aggregates. Actually, Rupa cannot exist without the other aggregates, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, right? But when you think about your Rupa, do you think that my Rupa is always supported by Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana? Not exactly. That is why people run into a Sakkaya Diṭṭhi with that. And also if you think, I have a self, permanent self in my Rupa, that is also another Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. So that means you are giving different meanings to your body without knowing that the body is supported by other aggregates. That is how you create Sakkaya Diṭṭhi with your body, especially with your Rupa. Same is for the Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. If I take another example, let's take Sankhara. What is Sankhara? I think I explained to you the other Monday. Sankhara here means what is Sankhara? What are the construction? Volitional formation. No, that is another explanation actually. Here sankhara means your karmic activities. Your karmic, good, bad karma activities are in the sankhara, right? And you have a vijnana apart from that. So let's say you take your karma as yourself, but karma is something that is not changing all the moment. Karma is always changing, right? Somebody is doing a good karma an hour ago, and after coming over here, he or she may think about something wrong about it. The same karma is becoming different after that, right? So that means you cannot take karma as yourself. Karma is always changing, always changing. And if you think yourself, this self that you have now, as possessed of certain impermanent, permanent karmas, that is also a way of getting into another Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. So what you need to understand is, when you think your 5 aggregates are not combined together, and if you take your 5 aggregates independently, that there is a self exists, then you are running into a Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. See, always try to depersonalize these 5 aggregates. So if you personalize 5 aggregates, you are definitely carrying Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. So that is how we have to look at it. As I told you, Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is the minimum bad Diṭṭhi version. There are other Diṭṭhis also. Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is the footing for all wrong views. Normally, most of the wrong views start from Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Sakkaya Diṭṭhi is the first view. Out of view, all other views come. Because of Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, all the other, I would say, different Micchā Diṭṭhis come because of Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Here again, you can see how the same Sakkaya Diṭṭhi was given in another sutta, Alagatha Upama Sutta. This Rupa is mine, there is I am, this is myself, this is I am, this is myself, right? So how do we understand this in a simple way? How do we understand Sakkaya Diṭṭhi in a very simple way? Unless you think that I do not exist, but 5 aggregate exist, then you are okay, you are in the safe zone. But if you always think that this Rupa, if you separately looking at Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, and giving meaning to those 5 aggregates differently, there is I, me, myself, there is I, me, myself, this is my Vedana, this is that, then you are creating Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, right? So, if you do not give the meaning to different aggregates by I, me, myself, then you are not creating Sakkaya Diṭṭhi anymore. That is a simple practice you can do. That is what even this sutta says, in addition to the one I show you. Have you ever seen these 10 questions which the Buddha did not answer? There are 10 questions Buddha did not ever answer. When people ask questions from the Buddha, he did not answer all the questions. Why is it? He thought these questions are irrelevant. They are irrelevant to the practice, right? Remember, he took some soil onto his fingernail and asked the monks, which is more? Is it the amount of soil here or the rest of the world? It's a very simple question, right? And the Buddha said, everything I taught you in the canon, I would say Dhamma and Vinaya, especially Dhamma part, is like this. That means the rest of the things are not necessary for you to practice the Dhamma. They are not necessary. Now what about all these commentaries and everything now? Now they are trying to explain the real true Dhamma, but then you have to understand. Because Buddha only said, I only teach you what is necessary for you to practice the Dhamma and attain Nibbana. Other things are not necessary. Don't waste your time. Actually, you don't have lots of time to practice even the sutta teachings with your lay life, right? So, that's why Buddha did not take these questions. When somebody asked, he did not answer. See, they are not necessary. We call them avyakatas. The Buddha said, left questions. He normally leaves those questions. Somebody asks, is the world eternal or not? Is the world finite, infinite, limited, unlimited? The body and the mind same or not? Or one thing or another thing? The Tathagata exists after his passing away or not? Simple, some are simple questions. So these 10 questions, but in today's world, if somebody asks these questions, if somebody is going to avoid them, it's going to be a big problem. But Buddha said these are unnecessary questions, not for science, but for the Dhamma path. These are very good questions for scientists, those who want to search more experimentally, but not for Dhamma practice. Because you are not going to find out whether soil exists in another world or not in the Dhamma practice. You want to know what is Dhamma, right? What is happening to me? Why I am getting old? Why can't I accept my aging? Why I am getting sick? Why I am dying? These are the biggest questions that we are looking at. Not that whether there are other beings in other planet, right? The Buddha said, yes, they could be in some suttas. All right, so Buddha says, if somebody is trying to propose, espouse, always keep asking these questions, they are also trying to have views about it. So that's something to think about. All right, I want you to look at these words in the Pali Canon. These are very interesting words. Miccha Diṭṭhi, you know that, huh? Miccha Diṭṭhi means the verse akusala, right? That is the verse akusala. Diṭṭhi sampada. This is a positive word. Good one. That means when you attain Sotapanna, you are coming into Diṭṭhi sampada. You are accomplished. You accomplish in your view. And also Diṭṭhi sampanna, it's a past participle, you are accomplished. This is also a good one. Diṭṭhi visuddhi, your views are purified now. They are not impure. But this is a problem. Diṭṭhi vipallasa. What is it? Distortions, inversions or distortions of the reality. The Buddha said our perceptions can go distorted. Our thoughts can go distorted. Our views can go distorted. Now this is what we want. Vipallasa, perversions. That means when you are not able to see things as they are, that means you have a Diṭṭhi vipallasa. Right? When you are not able to see the perceptions as they are, you are having a Sanya vipallasa. It's a distortion. It's not the reality. It's a distortion, distorted reality. It's like you are trying to see a picture, but the picture is blurred. Huh? You can't see the real picture, right? It's blurred. So let's say blurred version is the vipallasa. So Diṭṭhi can be a vipallasa. Because pancha nivaranas come here, you are not able to see that object. Then there's a distortion. So Diṭṭhi has been given in different Pali words. So I want you to look at them too, just to understand. This is very interesting. Papancha. How many of you have heard this word before? You have heard it? Papancha. What is papancha? Overthinking. What is papancha? Mental proliferation. Yes, that's the word that we use, but I'm going to ask you, what is that? Yeah, any others? She said mental proliferation. We accept that is the word that we use, but what does it mean is a little different. Where is this mentioned? There is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, Madhupindika Sutta. What is mental proliferation? What is papancha? This is a name given by the Buddha to the whole mental, what do you call? Mental corruption. I would say the whole process of making akusala. Papancha is a name given by the Buddha to the whole process of the akusala. Now you come up with this, that, finally you are creating the akusala. That whole process was given in one name, that was papancha. And then he said you should not make papanchas, you should make nippapancha. he said. So the reason why I took it, Diṭṭhi is a part of that process. How is it? How does Papancha make up? Tanha, Mana, Diṭṭhi. When you have craving, when you have Mana, that means conceit, and when you have views, you are creating any akusala completely. Now let's take killing, maybe let's take lying to somebody. Then you are lying because you are craving for something. And then you are coming up with conceit that you want to protect that particular thing why you are lying to. And then you are creating an attachment or greed to attach to it. So then the whole process is called mental proliferation. So Diṭṭhi is attached to mental proliferation. That means without Diṭṭhi, you cannot do any akusala. Let's see that way. That is why Micchadiṭṭhi is the verse. Without the Micchadiṭṭhi, you cannot do any akusala. You cannot kill, you cannot steal, you cannot misbehave, you cannot lie, or whatever the thing. What do you think about it? That is a good thing to learn. That means every time you make a bad karma, akusala, you are doing it motivated by Micchadiṭṭhi. Alright, we have to save time for Sammā-Diṭṭhi. Yeah? Time is going very fast. Now we are going to the Sammā-Diṭṭhi. Then when you are doing a good thing, you are always doing it by being motivated by Sammā-Diṭṭhi. Now let's see what is Sammā-Diṭṭhi. Okay, Sammā-Diṭṭhi according to the Noble Eightfold Path has two sections. Secular one and the noble one actually. That means Sammā-Diṭṭhi that unenlightened beings do like us, and then Sammā-Diṭṭhi that Arahants do. So we call it here, this is part of the, okay, what you call, this is the mundane one, this is for the Arahants. We'll see that. Alright. So let's see our one, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. First one, there is merit in giving almsgiving. That means if somebody is denying giving dana, he or she cannot become a sotapanna. Why is it? Dana is very important. The problem is people do not connect dana to this place. They don't know how it was given. If somebody asks you, where does Buddha give this dana concept? How is it connected to the Nibbana? You don't know how to connect it. This is where it is connected. Under the Sammā-Diṭṭhi, the first thing that you have to believe, you have to have a view is about that giving dana, whatever the dana, Mahasangha or whoever, it is the first thing. That is the purification in your views. Because before you purify here, you have to purify your things outside, right? Second is, there is merit in large offerings. That means maybe some large donations, kind of stuff. There is merit in small offerings. Now the giving has been classified large, small, because everybody cannot do large offerings, because it talks about the financial affordability. Fourth, there are results from good and bad action, believing in karma. If you do not believe in karma, you will never be able to practice Sammā-Diṭṭhi. Now we have done talking about 4 aspects of the Sammā-Diṭṭhi that unenlightened beings should practice. Fifth one, mother is a special person. That means we all have to believe, regardless of whatever the problems we may have, with your mothers. I hope that most of you have a very good relationship with your mother, that your mother, my mother, is a special person to me. Because that affects our Dhammapath. You cannot avoid her. If you avoid her, you can't do it, because you have to believe what she done to you, right? Especially the good stuff. So that means the Buddha said you have 3 punyakettas: mother, father, Mahasangha. Mahasangha is not the first punyaketta, field of merits. Mother, take care of your mother, give the support, be with her as much as you can. Then father, then Mahasangha. Some people bypass them and come to the temple and offer dana for us, thinking we are the only field of merit. I said, no. Check the sutras. Buddha says, no, there are 3 punyaketas. 2 are in your house or wherever you are close to. You have to believe. At least if you don't have a good relationship, you have to believe that my mom is a special person in my life. That belief purifies our views. And then father. Highly connected to the Sammā Diṭṭhi. If you bypass it, you won't be able to carry on your path. Then there is this world and other world. That means definitely we die, we reborn, and the other 31 realms. There are spontaneously reborn beings. Who are they? Spontaneously reborn. Devas. Devas are spontaneously being. Do they have any parental connection for their birth? No connection. They just appear and they just die, and they don't leave the bodies over there. Bodies are also disappearing once they die. Nobody has to do the funeral, right? Very easy, they die, body also disappearing. But for us, it's a big problem. You have to buy even lot of things. Theravada package, Mahayana package, Buddhist package, right? So you have to save some money for the funeral, right? Family problems. So devas are disappearing with their bodies. It is only devas who are born like that. There are some animals, Upapathika animals. Who are they? Are there any reptiles who are born without anything? There are some reptiles. Some of the snakes, they are born because of, I would say, self-born, yes. No connection to anything. Some are born from the dirty stuff, Sansedaja. Some are self-born. Even Brahmas, Maras, Deva, Brahma, Mara, they all are self-born, spontaneous. So we have to believe. We might not see them exactly, but we have to believe that they exist. That is helping us to purify our view to have the Sammādhi. Finally, there are ascetics, wise people who develop special powers through direct knowledge meditation, I would say. That means there are monastics or maybe non-monastics who practice their awareness, their bhavana and all that, so that they are attaining to different stages of their mental powers. We have to believe that. If we do practice it, or if we don't practice it, we have to believe such people exist in the world. So these 10, when you believe and do accordingly, you purify your view so that you can go to the next level. What is the next level? Sammā Sankappa. Only when you have these 10, you come up with Sammā Sankappa. If you don't have any of these 10, you will go to Micchā Sankappa. Now let's see how many other supporting factors help. Right view, right effort, right mindfulness. Right? That means why are they help with the right view? In order for you to understand what is right view, what is wrong view, you also need another layer of right view. That change. And then just because you know this is right view, okay, there are 10 things here, you know these 10 things, but can you simply do it without some effort? You need to put some energy, some effort. Just because you know, just because you have energy, can you still do? Not that easy to do, because you should have Sammā Sati. You should understand, this is the time I have to give dana. This is the time I have to take care of my mother. They need my help. This is the time I have to believe in certain things. How are we able to do such thing if we don't have Sammā Sati? Sammā Sati is the supervisor. Now you understand, as lay people, unenlightened beings, we must have these 10 things to practice Sammā Diṭṭhi. But one important thing, unenlightened being Sammā Diṭṭhi is sāsava, it has defilements. That means you may have expectations at a different level. It creates punyas, merits. Because of that, it carries some of the clinging for future lives, right? Unless you are not able to properly finish the path, go to the last Sammā Samadhi and become an Arahant. Otherwise, you are still creating these things. But at the first level, Sammā Diṭṭhi, you need to have this purification, because if not, you are not able to practice the rest. Alright, that is Sammā Diṭṭhi, and this is where I am going to wrap this up. Is there a separate sutta about Sammā Diṭṭhi? Yes, Majjhima Nikaya 9, Sammā Diṭṭhi Sutta. You can check on that. Now in this sutta, Arahant Sariputta says there are 16 ways we can check, self-check, whether we have right view or not. It's a very good way to look at it. See, unwholesome, wholesome. When we have unwholesome qualities or wholesome qualities, that is one way to check. Let's see it here. When friends, a noble disciple understand the unwholesome and the root of the unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of the wholesome, in that way he is one of the right view, whose views straight, who has unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and has arrived at this true Dhamma. That means, what are the unwholesome roots? What are they? Unwholesome roots. Akusala moola. Lobha dosa moha. So when you know you have lobha, when you have dosa, you have moha, and when you know when you have kusala moolas, 3 kusala moolas, that means dana, metta, panya, alobha, dosa, moha, that is one way you can check whether you have right. How do we know it? When you are doing anything, anytime, if you always go back to what is the root of my present action now, whether my present action is a alobha or adosa or dosa or adosa, then you are checking, you are having right view. So, nutriments, 4 noble truths, 12 causes, 10. Let's get into the sutta to see that properly. When friends, a noble disciple understand aging and death, the origin of aging, cessation, the way leading to the cessation of aging and death. So, it's always the 4 noble truth framework. You have to bring that framework to all these things. I would say all these 16. This is 1, 2nd, 3rd, and 12 causes means, where do they come from? Where do these things come from? 12 causes. Paticca Samuppada. What is Paticca Avijja, Sankara, Vijnana, Namarupa, Salayatana, Passa, Vedana, so on and so forth. So, for all these 12 causes, if you bring what is the cause of, what is Avijja, what is the cause of Avijja, what is the cessation of Avijja, what is the path that leads to cessation of Avijja, then you have to bring the 4 noble truths framework to all the 12 Paticca factors. Then, if you do it all the time, that is another way you can understand that you have Sammā Diṭṭhi, that tenfold Sammā Diṭṭhi. Alright, let's leave it here. Any questions now? About Sammā Diṭṭhi and Micchā Diṭṭhi or something relevant to this conversation. You have a question? Yes, please. Do we have a mic over here? Yeah, wait a second, please. Yes.
You gave an example about this Sottapatthana, the wife with the hunter husband, right?
By the hunters.
Whose husband is a hunter, and she gives him the tools that he needs for his work. I didn't get that part exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that family, that lady was a Sotapanna, but the husband was a hunter. So she has to do the duties for the house, because that is the only way they make money. So although we know that Sotapannas are not supposed to even kill an ant, but she was just simply fulfilling the household duties. So I was trying to say, now in today's world, when people are talking about becoming a Sotapanna, they are creating a very big, I would say very, very different, highly superficial life. That is what I am trying to address. It is not. At the Buddha's time, there were a lot of Sotapannas. They were simply spending life. And also, the most important thing is, while attaining Sotapanna, you can still live your lay life. That is the most important thing. Because most people want to become monks and nuns. They think this is the only way. Because they don't know what is Sakkaya Diṭṭhi and the elimination of Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. If you do not personalize your 5 aggregates, you are almost there. It depends on everyone, because everyone's life is different. If you do not personalize, that means you do your duties, everything in your household, and you work, everything. But you do not always try to depersonalize. I do not call this the body of 5 aggregates to be I, me, myself. I know this is a part of 5 aggregates. This is a combination of 5 aggregates. Always think about, when you think about, oh, I'm good, I'm better than that person, I did well. Not I did. It is this combination of the 5 aggregates. Now, that is how we develop that Sotapanna way of thinking, and then finally go there. Now, in that case, that hunter's wife was a Sotapanna. She practices her own thing. But because she is with that man, she has to prepare everything and give to him, right? That is what happened. You got what I mean? Yeah. Can you take the mic, please? Yeah.
My understanding was different, so I saved my following questions.
Yeah, you can ask the question too.
No, because I was putting that example in reference to Sammā Diṭṭhi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the correct view that she has to do that?
Acquired.
Yes, but your example is actually about depersonalizing her 5 aggregates, not the Sammā Diṭṭhi about hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So she has not an arahant. She was not an arahant at that point. That means it doesn't say that she is a very serious practitioner of the Eightfold Noble Path, Noble Eightfold Path. So the understanding she must have got was the removal, something that came as the removal of the 3 fetters, Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, Vicikiccha, Silabbata, Paramasa. If you look at these 3 fetters, they are very simple things. That means not personalizing your 5 aggregates, and then not attaching to the sealer, unnecessary sealer, and then not having doubts about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, previous life, this life, and all that. So that is what she had. That is her understanding. But she still have karma. She still have karma. That means Sotapanna person still engages with karma. That is no problem. But one thing is for sure, she is not having more than 7 lives. That is good. Somebody who has karma still engages in karma, but having no 8th life. That is interesting. So if somebody can do such, then I think that's a very good teaching for all of you, because you are struggling in your practice, what to learn, right? That means we should not bother karma as a problem here. What we should do is we should never personalize these 5 aggregates to be us. So when you depersonalize your body into Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, the way you look at of the karma is also becoming different. Right? Now, not that I have karma, I have these specific karmas, sensuality. Then at that point you see, not I am having karma, but this 5 aggregated body looking for karma. That is what Vishaka and those people had in terms of the Sotapanna view. Make sense? Okay.
Well, I'm not a vegetarian, but I was feeling guilty each time I eat chicken. So,
Meat?
yes. So, what is the right view that I should have?
What is the right
I
view?
have no craving for meats. I can
Yeah.
eat vegetables, no problems. But because, like, as part of the local
Now the
culture,
problem with that question is whether you
No.
want to eat chicken or whether you understand 5 aggregates want to eat chicken. That is, if we go to talk about the Buddhist idea of eating meat or vegetables, that's a different big concept. We don't want to touch that here. Now here what you need to think is whether you believe whether there are no 5 aggregates, you exist, or whether 5 aggregates exist. That is what we have to separate here. If
Yes.
you think there is no I, me, myself, but 5 aggregates, 5 aggregate based body needs to eat meat. So what's the problem? That is just a body out of 5 things. But if you say no, I exist, that I wants to eat, that is Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. That I even wants to eat a chocolate is also Sakkaya Diṭṭhi. Not go to meat.
But in that case, I have a more serious question. I didn't want to ask earlier because I thought it was in conflict with my first question. But after your last explanation, what if there are people who go for sex services and the ladies who are offering the services are human trafficking victims? So how do we justify that?
That's a tricky question to answer. Because I'm looking at morally, not socially. Yeah. So yeah, it depends. It depends how they think about it. We don't know how they think about it. That is the issue. Now, as I said to you earlier, when you asked the question about the meat, I asked whether you look at it in a sense that I want to eat meat or my 5 aggregate body wants to eat meat. Now, in terms of the escorts, those ladies who are sexual workers, do they think that they are giving the services so that as a consequence of a need that they are selling the 5 aggregates? So it's a very tricky question, but if you look at the Dhamma point, we have to separate what they think about it. Yeah. All right, any questions? Yes, please. Maybe we can pass the mic. Yeah. He said he wants to ask a question, and then I will pass the mic to you. Yeah.
I go first?
Somebody
Or
please. Yeah,
Who-
here, somebody.
Who go first?
Go ahead. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I go ahead. Okay. What is that?
Make it,
yeah.
please make it short
Make
because
it
of the
short,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see the 16 ways to check right view, because last week I did ask about if a person is ignorant and do not know he is ignorant, how does a person get into all those? And I'm also questioning myself, if I don't have a master with me, how would I know that I'm having the right view? So my question now is, when I saw this 16 list, is there any way where I can get further explanation to expound on that?
So
Where can I find them?
these 16 ways are self-check-ins.
Yeah.
All right. Now, whether to check whether you really have the Sakkaya Diṭṭhi or not. Whether you really have Sammā Diṭṭhi or not. So you can check in with them personally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but here you put that, okay, unwholesome, wholesome, one.
No, click on the link,
Huh?
the sutta. Go to the link here.
Oh, there is a link when I go to the website.
So
I get
see, there's a link I have attached. Yes, it is called Sammā Diṭṭhi Sutta. So there is a hyperlink. Click on that.
okay,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, answered.
Okay. pass the mic to him. Yeah. Oh, you got another mic.
Okay, Bhante, if a person has get rid of this Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, means there's no I. If there's no I, means whatever that he did, there's no intention.
Not no I. He knows how I is constructed. He knows how this so-called I is constructed. He knows I is constructed with these 5, but he doesn't. He prefers to use 5 aggregate, but he knows conventionally I exist. Otherwise, where is the pain? You say I have a pain in my leg. Yes, it is in my leg, right? Not in somebody else's leg, right? In my leg, but what is this I? These are constructs of the 5 aggregate. That person knows. This within this I, those 5 are the ones exist. I is not a permanent state.
Okay.
That is
because
how we have to take.
I thought
Don't take one or the other.
If there's no I, there's no intention, then there is no karma.
No. Don't take one or the other. In Buddhism, that is not good. Now, what I was trying to say, that I exist in a certain level, conventional level, but it is not in the ultimate level. It's not true. It is not the truth. Conventionally, I exist. That is why I say I get sick, I go here, I do this. But it is not at that high ultimate level. So each time you see I have a sickness, you feed your mind, it is not I, 5 aggregates, this combination is having that issue, that thing. Then you are not calling that particular thing as being I, me, myself, as a permanent entity. But when everybody says I have a pain, they always believe I exist here. They think, they highly think about it. So behind that thinking, deep down in that thinking, always come up with the idea there is no permanent I. It's about the 5 aggregates working together. Then I, me, myself already left in your mind. Sotapanna. Should be Sotapanna. It depends on your Samvega, your spiritual urgency. But that is how we have to look at it, technically. Huh? Yes. So it is how you need to look at it. Now when I say even how you look at it, how you I mean, no, not you. Those 5 aggregate base body have to think about it, Sotapanna people are easily able to catch those wordings. They know how to take those words. So now Buddha says, I exist at the conventional level, but I does not exist at the ultimate level. So these two work, but when it comes to eliminating Sakkaya Diṭṭhi, we have to go to the Paramattha level. Yeah, make sense? Okay, any other questions? Oh, you have a question. With this question, we will wrap this up because of the time, right? Nobody, yeah.
Sorry, since you're talking about the 5 aggregates and I just want to extend a little bit. So if I is actually the outcome of the 5 aggregates functioning, so if the 5 aggregates is eliminated or ended, right, there's no I, what's left? What is left? If the 5 aggregates are ended, what
5
is left?
aggregates are not ended till you attain till you die in this life.
Yeah, if you die and let's say, well, I suppose it goes back to the, just so you're flashing there, those questions, those questions that Buddha wouldn't want to answer. So does Buddha exist after his death? After he's reached his enlightenment?
That's an irrelevant question.
Yeah. So I think it's something similar here. So if the 5 aggregates, right? Is it my echo or what? Sorry.
No.
If the 5 aggregates ends, right, and therefore I ended myself as well, what's left?
Okay.
Is there something still behind that, I don't know, I cannot say carry me through because I have ended.
Yeah.
Right? What is actually
the question coming
through
one of the irrelevant questions here, but I will take it as a valid question. Okay. Okay. Don't worry. Now, when someone passes away, what will normally happen? How do we understand that process? Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana disintegrate, isn't it? Isn't it? Abha Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara not furthermore integrating, they are disintegrating. So the mind part, out of the mind part, the Bhavanga Vijnana exits from the body. Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, they are attached to that body. So then that person is looking for a new body, right? So that is what happened. So till we not die, that means we are going to continue with our 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates are basically recycling back to the places where they come from. Our bones, everything, they recycle back. But our consciousness, that is traversing into another body.
I can understand that. So now maybe I'm taking that a bit further. So suppose you reach the stage like nirvana, where you do not even carry it to the next body, you ends it, right?
Nobody ends the body.
That means you do not get yourself reborn. So you reach that stage lah.
Yes.
You reach that stage. So you
because consciousness is stopped, it's gone.
Yeah, it's stopped. There's no more 5
seeking
aggregates.
for another body.
There's no more I. Since you don't get reborn, everything ends. So what's kind of left, or what? Well, I suppose
What
you
is
say
left?
in a way, what have we become, or
The
what's
state
left?
of mind.
Yeah, is that the thing is that is there even a state of mind, or there's no mind at
No,
all?
it's everything nibbana. Nibbana means everything is extinguished. Everything is finished. That is the permanent end of karma. So no creating of new life. So nothing is going behind after that. Because this new bodies are, consciousness is looking for new bodies because of your karmas. You're still having karmas. So new karma, creating of the new karmas are finished at the point of your nibbana. So you are not creating any more life. So the nature of that life, we cannot explain that exactly because unless you have attained that stage. But what we have to understand is a framework. When you are not stopping your karmas completely, new karmas, that means you are still looking for new bodies after you pass away. That is the answer I can give.
So can I say nirvana is not even a state of mind, it's the ending of the mind?
Nirvana is the end of mind.
When you achieve nirvana, it's not a state of mind that you're achieving.
It's not a state of mind.
It's an ending
Nobody
of the
says
mind.
it's a state of mind.
Okay.
Yeah, because you finish your mind.
Yeah, so it's an ending of the mind.
Yes. Actually, you don't finish the mind, you finish the consciousness. Mind is one life thing. Our mind is one life thing, and I will leave this mind and I go with my consciousness to another mind.
Yeah, so it's the ending of the consciousness.
Ending of the sansaric consciousness that travels from here to another place, another place.
Then is there anything else that's left? Or that's carrying through?
Well, I'm not technically giving, I can't give an answer for that. But what you have to understand is rather looking at the specifics of what's going to happen, it's good to look at how Diṭṭhis can affect us here. Then you will understand what will be the happiness at that point. That is what I can say. Because I think, that will be the best. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's transfer our good karmas now. May all the good karmas which we've been accumulated today be transferred to all the departed people who passed